All right, so welcome to this Q&A. Again, welcome everyone to this Q&A. I hope everyone's doing well after Yom Kippur. Anyone who fasted, it's always a long fast, no matter how you slice it, no pun intended. It's always feels like it's never going to end, and then somehow some people get a second wind at the end. Try and get a second wind at the end. Yelling and screaming. God should have mercy. God have mercy on us, on ourselves, our families, the world. In general, these days, King Solomon says in Proverbs, you don't know what today's going to bring, right? You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? We don't know. Nobody knows, right? So, no guarantee. No guarantee. We said on Rosh Hashanah, whatever we said yesterday also in the additional prayer in the Unas on the Stoikev, we said who by fire, who by water, who by starvation, who drowns, who becomes poor, becomes rich. Who suffocates, who by fire. We're pleading for our lives there, and there's no guarantee. In essence, every second of every day a person's alive, we should say Shechianu. We should make the Thanksgiving blessing. Why don't we? You're too busy making the blessing. You wouldn't be able to do anything. But the reality is, we should be, you're going to be thankful every second, right? Every last second of every day, what we have, right? And we take a lot of things for granted. That's true. We definitely take things, for granted, and at the end of the day, you can't take anything for granted. Just because you breathe right now doesn't mean you're going to breathe in a second or in 2 seconds or in 5 seconds. It's an absolute miracle, the fact that we do, but we forget. We forget the easy things. We forget the most important things. We waste time. We waste, precious seconds, days, worrying about things that we don't have to worry about. We shouldn't have to worry about. Tell me, I got this to worry about, that to worry about. True, I got to put my best foot forward. But at the end of the day, God runs the world, right? We got to remember, God runs the world. He can change anything in the blink of an eyelash, right? And I think everyone's been in different circumstances where that has happened, where, you're down and out, you don't know what's going to be, and boom, God says help you this way or that way, or a way you never expected, right? A way you never expected. So, we start a new year. You have the 10 days of repentance. You have Yom Kippur, right? You have Yom Kippur to atone. Hopefully we did enough. Hopefully we did enough for atonement, right? But at the end of the day, now's the time. Now we're busy. Jews are busy building their sukkahs, getting their arbor minim, their 4 species, their lulav, their esrog. Got to prepare meals. There's a lot to do. It's a busy time, right? It's a very, very busy time during this during these days, because once Yom Kippur is over, that means you got 4 days till Sukkot, right? Sukkot's going to come out on Shabbos, right? Friday night. It happens, right? That happens. We're not going to shake a lulav on Shabbos, because the Gemara says you might take it to somebody, you might walk from a private domain to a public thoroughfare, which would be forbidden, because you might take it to someone to learn how to shake it, or same thing with a shofar. You might take it to someone to teach how to blow it or whatever, and that would be forbidden. Blowing it in general on Rosh Hashanah, not necessarily a problem, right? Certainly for the mitzvah it's permitted, but on Shabbos we don't allow it, right? The whole thing, right? The whole thing, what that represents, why you don't blow it, at least the first day, right? At least the first day. So even this year, people are still going to look for their lulav and esrog, even though, the Hiddur finding, a nice lulav and a nice esrog, going to have to go all out this year. Why? Because not a Torah obligation, right? It's a rabbinic obligation. But most people probably, will get just as nice quality things, even though you can't shake it, even though you're not allowed to shake it, on the first day, right? Second day, which will be a regular weekday, so to speak, or intermediate day of the holiday here in Israel. It'll still be a festival the second day, right? For everybody on Sunday. This coming Sunday will be, second day of the, of the festival, right? So regardless, you got to get your sukkah built. You got to get your 4 species. You got to prepare meals. There's a lot to do, right? There's a lot to do. Why did God give sukkahs now? Right? So God gave the command because he wanted the Jewish people after 30 days of introspection. You got Rosh Hashanah, Day of Judgment, 10 days of repentance. Culminates with Yom Kippur. God says, I want to keep you doing mitzvahs. I want to keep you busy on that high, on that spiritual high. So how is God going to do that? Give all these sukkahs. Now, most places going to a sukkah today, it's going to be cold, right? To show you're doing it for the sake of the mitzvah. Because if it's 10 degrees Celsius, right, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which I don't think is so bad. Someone just told me that, Boston's not, pretty warm today, right? I mean, warmish, right? 50 degrees is not, 10 degrees Celsius is not so bad, right? My kids would say, oh, it's too cold. Got to put on 3 coats and 5 sweaters because it's so cold out. Remember, celebrating Sukkot when I was in the States. Well, beautiful sleeping weather, sleeping outside weather. But, even for non-Jews, right? You're going to say, oh, this only applies to Jews. Non-Jews don't make a sukkah, right? Non-Jews, a JIT, a Jew in training. You want to participate, you're allowed to, right? I think it's recommended, no question. Sit in the sukkah, help prepare, and all that. Get into the mode, get into the, get into the feeling, so to speak. But even non-Jews, say, sukkah doesn't really apply to non-Jews, right? Non-Jews are not going to convert. Doesn't really apply to them, right? So what can they participate in, right? What can they participate in, right? So every synagogue, at least once during the holiday, probably going to have a night where they're going to sing, they're going to dance, so to speak, all about the holiday, right? It's a lot of fun, right? That's one thing. But what can a non-Jew, even if they don't convert, what can they take home? What can they take home from this holiday? Yeah, what's universal, right? Let's talk about something universal. See, we neglect the non-Jews, speak a lot about Jews and Jewish customs, but what about someone who can't convert, doesn't want to convert, right? So what about them? What happens to them? So there's a universal idea that on Sukkot, King Solomon says in Ecclesiastes, we read a special book, right? Every holiday, right? On Yom Kippur, we read the book of Jonah, right? Read the book of Jonah, the afternoon service. Rosh Hashanah actually doesn't have that. It's very interesting. All about judgment, but on Sukkot, we read Ecclesiastes. Right, Passover is the Song of Songs, and on Shavuos, the Book of Ruth. Right, so each holiday has their, specific book which represents different aspects, of the holiday. So what's Ecclesiastes all about? What's all about? King Solomon, says at the very beginning, it's all vanity. Life is all vanity. Right? And he says, I was once the king of Jerusalem, and he got sort of demoted and came back. And he said, I checked all philosophy. Right now, King Solomon, known as the wisest of all men. That's true. Very true. So you're going to ask, what's he doing checking out secular philosophy? It's a good question. Because a lot of times, a person can get caught up in secular philosophy and lose their spiritual being, so to speak. I remember people would speak about Rabbi Shabbat Soloveitchik, bless his memory. He was one of the heads of the yeshiva in Yeshiva University, New York, and he was he's big, big time rabbi in Boston, and he's a grandson of Chaim Briscoe. He was a Torah giant, no question. People say, he was the closest in mind, to his grandfather. He used to give classes. I remember hearing rabbis speak about sitting in his classes for like 6 hours, so made me pretty convinced. I'm not sure how many people really understood what he said. I mean, he was a genius. He was a Talmudic genius. No question. No question. Yeah. So, why do I mention him? Because his rabbis say that when he went to university, when he was in university, the University of Berlin, I think that's where he went. When he was in the University of Berlin, right, these rabbis would say, as great as he was, as brilliant as he was, and he was studying philosophy there. That's what I was thinking. He was studying secular philosophy there. Regardless what happened, they say that his father, Rav Soloveitchik, son of Rav Chaim Brisker, brother of Israel Zev Soloveitchik, known as the Brisker Rav, of blessed memory, Torah giant in his own right, was afraid what was going to be with the son. They didn't want his son to be a heretic, pull him out. Right? Very interesting. Pulled him out. What does it mean he pulled him out? He's afraid. He was afraid. Right? So what happened? Philosophy can confuse a person. Philosophy could potentially make someone heretic. Right? In the 19th century, what happened to a lot of Jews? How did a lot of Jews go astray? Socialism, communism, democracy, different things. But what did they get caught up a lot in? The Enlightenment. See, when the floodgates were open in every country, whether it was France, that they opened up the ghettos and different things, what happened? The Jews assimilated. They wanted to be exactly like non-Jews. They wanted to read their material, marry their women, all kinds of things, right? So what happened? What's the end result? Disaster. That's the single biggest problem going on in the States today, right? Certainly is assimilation into marriage. I mean, other places, over Europe, intermarriage is even higher. In South America, same thing. Intermarriage can be as high as 80, 85%. In Germany, before the war, intermarriage is over 80%. 80%. Yeah, single biggest factor today in destroying Judaism all over the world. Lack of education. Yeah, but regardless, why do we read Ecclesiastes? What is it? What does King Solomon there say? He says life is all vanity. Everything a person does is vanity. Because we're looking in the wrong place. Right? So he says, where's the real truth? In Torah. And then he goes on to tell you, I tried all the philosophies. I was the king of Jerusalem and, booted out, came back, whatever the case is. And what happened? He says there's nothing else out there. Nothing else out there, nothing worthwhile to check. King Solomon, we understand. Wisest of all men. No question about it. Wisest of all men. If he's the wisest of all men, he's telling you something. Giving you a message. Right? He's giving you a message. And that is, stick to Torah. Don't learn things that are outside of Torah. Because I'll tell you a story, famous story, Chagiga 15a, speaks about Elisha ben Abuya, known as Acher, the other one. Elisha ben Abuya sat on the Sanhedrin. Elisha ben Abuya was a Tana. Yeah, he was in the Mishnah. Massive rabbinic scholar. Became a heretic. So what happened? What happened? The reality is, it happened by circumcision. Places over there brings down a whole discussion. His father's connected, right? To a lot of people. A lot of the rabbis came. Rabbis are sitting there learning. Pillar of fire comes down, surrounds them. So Elisha ben Abuya's father, Abuya, said, "What, you coming down to burn my house?" So they said, "No, this is the power of Torah. Torah can create fire, spiritual fire." So Elisha ben Abuya's father said, "If that's the case, I want that for my son. I want that power for my son." So Elisha ben Abuya's father, at the bris, at the circumcision, right? He got the most important honor. What's the most important honor to circumcision? Sandik. What we call Sandik Coast, the one who holds the baby. One who holds the baby. Right? The one who holds the baby is like he's an altar. So it's like you're putting the baby on an altar. That's why you don't want to have a secular Jew be Sandik. Because their influence, their thoughts can have a negative effect. Oh, you're going to say, how can that be? Right? Science hasn't proven it. Right? Science hasn't proven it. So if science hasn't proven it, what do I have? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The reality is, he had that intention when the circumcision was being done. And that's why anyone has a child, and they're going to have him circumcised, right? If he's a Jew, on the 8th day or when the baby's healthy, you try and get at least someone who keeps Shabbos. You don't want someone who desecrates Shabbos holding the baby. That's a problem. So you're going to say science hasn't proven it. Who cares? Science hasn't proven it. What do we see by Elisha ben Abuya? What do we see by his father? His father had these thoughts. And what were the thoughts? I want my son to be great so he can have a pillar of fire surround him when he learns. And what happened? That was not l'shem shamayim, not for the sake of heaven. If it wasn't for the sake of heaven, it had a negative effect. Oh, how did it have a negative effect? It didn't come out right away. It came out later. He started getting into secular things, right? And he'd leave the study hall after a day of learning. He'd have all these secular books. Quotes from the Jerusalem Talmud. He'd have all these secular books that he was learning also, that he was also going through. So you could say, well, it's not so far-fetched. Look what happened. Look what happened over here. Right? That's what happened. Eventually it led him astray. So at the end of the Gemara Chulin says, what happened to him? We'll just tell the whole story. He saw a child climb a ladder to do the mitzvah of Shuach HaKen, do the mitzvah of shooing away the mother bird. Right? And it says, by shooing away the mother bird, what do you get? What does the Torah say? You get long life. Same thing by honoring your parents. You honor your parents, right? The Torah says you get long life. The only 2 mitzvahs, right? If you ever get asked that question, that's the answer, right? The answer is, which 2 mitzvahs speak about getting long life? These 2. Honoring your parents and shooting away the mother bird. Now, what happens? As the Gemara says, the child's listening to his father, so he's doing the mitzvah kibbutz avei, doing the mitzvah honoring his parents, honoring his father. He's climbing up to shoot the mother bird. What happens? Slips off the ladder coming down and he dies. So comes along, Elisha ben Abuya saw this happen, and he says, can't be a God. Can't be a God. How can a good God do such a thing? Kill a child? Child's doing the mitzvah. Right? He's shooting away the mother bird. Long life. The child's doing kibbutz avei. He's honoring his father. Also gets long life. What happened over here? So Elisha ben Abuya says, I'm not interested in Torah mitzvahs. He went off. He went off. The rabbis disagreed with him. And the rabbis said you didn't understand what the verse meant. When it talked about long life, didn't mean in this world. Didn't mean he's going to live to 110. Man, in the next world. Now you're going to ask me, what is long life in the next world? I mean, isn't life infinite in that next world? True, right? That's a whole discussion. But it meant in the next world, not this one. Didn't mean this world, right? So even though he was a Tana, even though he was on the Sanhedrin, he made a mistake. Elisha ben Abuya made a mistake, a serious mistake. Caused him to go off. I mean, that was final straw. He was already on the way out anyway, right? But this was the final straw, final nail in the coffin, no pun intended. Yeah. So what happened? Right? So what happened over here? Now, Elisha ben Abuya's got a good point. Seemingly. He says the child is doing 2 mitzvahs here. Even though the rabbis say, and they disagree with what his explanation is, comes along the Ben Ish Chai, one of the great rabbis in Baghdad 100 years ago, wrote about 60, 70 books, one of them on all these homiletic interpretations, what we call Agadata in the Talmud, right? These stories that you can either learn for 5 minutes or 5 years. So that he gave over, to over these homiletic stories and give his explanation. People used to work, right? People who worked in the synagogue. So he used to give this class, I think after services in the morning. So when you go through these, this explanation of these different texts, it's either you understand it, right? It's either very clear or it's Kabbalah. Imagine who the people who's giving the class to, right? A lot of it has, is Kabbalistic. But in general, there are places you can't understand, right? He explains it on a very simple level. So says the Ben Ish Chai over there. Ben Ish Chai says, what mitzvah did this child perform? Did he do the mitzvah of Shuach HaKen? He shoot away the mother bird, but he didn't take the eggs down. He didn't fulfill the mitzvah. He didn't do it because he slipped and he fell. Did he fulfill the mitzvah of honoring his father? No. Right? Says the Ben Ish Chai, he's not at fault. Right? You can't say, oh, look, you should have got long life in this world. Right? Look at both mitzvahs he did. Says the Ben Ish Chai, no. The Ben Ish Chai says he didn't do the mitzvah. He didn't do the mitzvah. If he didn't do the mitzvah, he didn't do it. Right? You can't say, well, it was a good try. He was on the way. He didn't do it. If he didn't do it, he didn't do it. There are things, if I have intention to do a mitzvah, but I'm doing it, but I don't end up doing it, then what happens? You get credit. You get credit for doing it. If you started a mitzvah, you didn't finish. So that there's a curse. You bury your wife and your kids in your lifetime. Why? You started the mitzvah. Right? That's good. Right after Yom Kippur. You started the mitzvah. If a person started the mitzvah, they didn't finish, what are they showing? The mitzvah's not that important. That's what they're showing. In other words, if I didn't start it, and I wanted to do it, I get credit if I did it. But if I started it, you better finish it. Because if you don't finish it, you bury your wife and your kids. God forbid, in your lifetime, right? So comes along King Solomon. So that's what happened to Elisha ben Abuya, right? Thoughts of his father had a negative effect on his life. Again, I'm going to get hammered for this, but it's okay. People say, but come on, he's sitting there holding the baby. Who cares what his thoughts are? His thoughts don't have an effect, really. According to this, it does have an effect. Has a massive effect. That's why yeshivas in general, or schools in general, don't necessarily take money from secular Jews that desecrate Shabbos. They don't want that influence in the walls of the yeshiva. Could be if they're using it for cleaning materials or for things in the bathroom, maybe. You can use it for that. But if you use it for upkeep of the yeshiva for the sake of the students, no. Why not? Because look how they earn their money. But you tell me, but you're helping them do a mitzvah. You're helping them do the mitzvah of charity, of giving charity. It could have a positive effect on them. True. Very true. But it can have a negative effect also, regardless of whether science, has proven it or not. So back to our original question, or not really question, but the fact that King Solomon, Ecclesiastes, says all life is vanity, right? Now someone asked the question, should we look at everything as vanity? Now, if people are too busy redoing their bathrooms, that's vanity. Right? If someone's adding on to their house, because they can't, but they need the space, that's not vanity. If they're decorating it in a nice way, that's not necessarily vanity, per se. We have to look at things in this world. See, we're not on the level of Chofetz Chaim. Chofetz Chaim, of blessed memory, is from Meir Kagan, a Kohen of blessed memory, one of the Torah giants of the last generation, or one of the most righteous of the last generation. I don't think there's too much question about that. Chofetz Chaim lived in a hovel, rickety furniture. Someone from America comes to visit, obviously someone with means, says, Rebbe, you live in this rickety furniture. Looks like everything's going to fall apart. Should we, let me buy you some furniture, just, regular furniture. Let me buy you nice furniture. So the Chofetz Chaim asked him and says, where's your furniture? He says, where's your furniture? So he says, what do you mean? I don't carry my furniture wherever I go. I'm only here passing through. Oh, the Chofetz Chaim said, I'm also here passing through. Right? I'm also living here, just passing through. In other words, life isn't the ultimate. Now, are we on the level of the Chofetz Chaim? We're going to have rickety furniture. Doesn't mean you have to have everything's top of the line and everyone's brand new every year or whatever. People should have nice things, at least things that work. if everything's like falling apart, it's not, not so nice. Certainly not so nice. Are we on that level? The Chofetz Chaim? No, we're not on that level. I don't know too many people on on that level. Maybe a previous generation. Certain great rabbis, they Rav Steinman of blessed memory, lives in a very simple house. His furniture probably 50 years old, still intact, barely probably. Not significant money. I think it was important. And those are the values he gave over to his kids, and to his wife. Like Rav Chaim Kanievsky of blessed memory, he couldn't tell you streets or other things that weren't important for him to remember. Torah was important for him to remember. Certain people's names were important to remember. Anything else that was not deemed important to remember for him and at his level, right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time to even think about it, right? What are you going to worry about it for? It's not important, right? So in our generation, right? This is for our cream puff generation. In our cream puff generation, we're living the life of luxury our grandparents, great-great-parents never saw because they were living in poverty. They were in abject poverty. Yeah. So we're living today like, I'm not going to say it's vanity, but just think of the level. Imagine you go to a store. They ran out of your favorite candy bar. You have this desire to have this candy bar, to have this soda, that whatever. You know what? They don't have. They ran out. You're going to say, what do you mean you ran out? How's it possible to run out? You got 50 of them in the show. He says, we ran out. Someone bought up the whole thing, whatever it is. We get upset at the tiniest things. So, is that vanity? Not, for our generation, I wouldn't say it's something to get upset about, per se. But, for our generation where people are holding, we're not close to the level of Rosh Steinman or the Chofetz Chaim. We're not close to them. Is it something we should strive for? That'll be the next question. I think, some people carried away. You'll tell me a lot of people just struggling, to make ends meet and this and that. True. A lot of people struggling today. Things have gone sky high. A lot of prices. Fruit, vegetables, other things. Right? A lot of things gone up. Very much in price. So people just, especially, in the States, tuition, most of the person's paycheck goes to tuition, goes to school tuition for their kids, right? So if you have school tuition, you have food, you have rent or a mortgage, a car or two, that's it. That's where your money goes. Send your kids to camp. You're not making over $100,000 in these communities. You're in debt. You're in debt. The middle class getting crushed, totally getting crushed. Their money's gone. Yeah, their money's gone before they even seize their hands. It's like just disappears. Can't even say you got sticky fingers. Like you can hold on to it for a little bit. It's gone, right? It goes to the schools. The prices are through the roof. Okay, but that's what it is. And schools are running at a deficit, right? So life's expensive. So if you want to tell me, the middle class is living it up, they're kicking back, sipping pina coladas, I don't think so. I think they're working hard for whatever they make and trying to give whatever they can give. Yeah. It's people that have a lot more, right? That have a lot more. And the people that have a lot more, the question is, what are they doing with their money? If they're giving a lot of it to charity, very good. They're helping out others, this, that. They're living a relatively simple life. Relatively simple. They don't have fancy cars, they don't have a fancy house. I'll tell you, if a person has a lot of money, you don't want to be extravagant. If you're going to be extravagant, you make someone jealous. You make somebody jealous, that could kill you. That's called the evil eye. Evil eye has a real impact. Some say it doesn't have an impact if you don't believe in it. The Gemara says 99%, I don't want to really go into it, but 99% of people die from it. Why do they die from it? Because it caused someone to be jealous. Now you're going to say, but it's not my fault. Let's say you add an extension to your house. Person has an extension. Not that they need the space, whatever, they had an extension. So I heard Pesach Kron tell a great story. It should be well. Pesach Kron told the great, he tells a lot of good stories, right? This is a very good story. Guy walks by. So every day he tells the owner of the house, I think you should build it like this and like this. Build an extension like this, add this, After like a few days of this, the owner of the house says, "Who are you? Who are you to tell me how to add on to my house and what to build and what not to build? You're just a passerby. I'm the one who owns the house. I'll build it the way I want. Like, go scram, go take a long walk, off a short pier. Like, I don't know where I need you. I need you like I need 3 heads." So the person said, "But you're not building it for you." He goes, "What are you talking about?" He said, "All this is for me. I'm adding on this and that." He said, "No, on the outside and whatever you're doing, it's not for you. You don't see it on the inside. You're not sitting there going, oh, look, fancy shutters, fancy this, fancy that, whatever it is. You're not looking at it. I'm the one looking at it because I'm passing by. So I should have a right to say what I want. I should have a right to say how to build it." You got to say, come on, it's absurd. But think about it. What he's doing on the inside, who sees if he's got gold toilets or not, or this and that, right? Yeah. Who's going to see it unless someone uses the bathroom? But person knows what they're building on the inside. They're building it for themselves on the inside. Were they building for the outside? The outside's not for them. Essentially, it's not for them. You say it is, it's a part of the whole structure. Someone will hammer me for that also. It's part of the whole structure. They build it with it. You're right. It's part of the whole structure. But the reality is, the only people seeing it are people on the street walking by. Right? So this person has a good point. You're not building it for yourself. You're building it for me. So if you're building it for me, I should have to say how you build it. Sounds kind of absurd. Yeah. So the question is, is everything we see, is everything bad? Is everything vanity? So I'll tell you, there's a major difference between the way we, the Jewish people, look at the world and the way Christians look at the world. The way Christians look at the world's bad. The world is evil. Thank God JC came, died for all our sins. We call that pass the buck, right? I don't have to do anything. See, for them, I don't know what they do about Yom Kippur. Right? It's very interesting. One of the things we'll just make fun of the Christians here a little bit, and how foolish it all sounds is the fact that, what do they compare JC to? They compare him to a Paschal offering. They compare him to a Passover offering. There's only one problem with that comparison. I mean, there are a lot of problems, but what's the major problem with a Paschal offering? It's not a sin offering. It's not a sin offering. If you're going to compare him to say he came and he died for all our sins and nobody has to do anything, they can just believe in him. Why are they comparing him to that? Compare him to a sin offering. Compare him to offering that, a guilt offering, sin offering, something, right? That doesn't make sense. We just got through Yom Kippur, a whole bunch of times, beating our chest, that I sinned, that I did this erroneous, I did this by mistake, I did it on purpose, I caused others to go astray, I spoke Lashon Hara, I spoke Rechilas, I did all these other things, right? It's all about what we do, not about what someone else did, and I can rely on him. That'd be great. I'd be back here sipping pina coladas, having a great time, watching all kinds of things, no worries, but I can't, because there's responsibility. Right? But the way they look at it is, original sin, the whole world is bad, and that's it. Well, we don't look at it that way. Yeah, what Adam and Eve did is bad. It's really bad. We're still trying to get back to that before the Messiah comes. Yeah? Or the Messiah will bring that back in when the evil inclination gets destroyed. All that being true, what do I have over here? I have the fact that we look at the world as I can take something physical and I can sanctify it. See, that by the Christians doesn't exist. The Ramchal in Path of the Just says people want to say they're aesthetic. What do? They want to show how righteous they are, so they roll around in the snow with a tank top and shorts when it's like minus 30 degrees Celsius, when it's nice and cold, to show how righteous they are. Says the Ramchal, says Ramosha Chaim Mutato, blessed memory, says, no, I beg to differ. They're not righteous. They're fools. That's not how you show closeness to God. You know how you show closeness to God? By doing what he says. By sanctifying the physical. I can take my drink of tea over here. I can make a shakel niyeh b'varoi. right? I can make a blessing, drink my tea, A, because I'm thirsty, B, because I enjoy it, and C, because I have to give thanks to the one who gave it to me. That's sanctifying the physical. He said, it's only water in a tea bag. My Rebbe would say, I'm not human. I don't put sugar. I don't put milk if you're English, right? And I said, no. I said, how can you drink tea with milk? He said, what do you mean? He said, I'm English. You can't take the Englishman out of the Englishman. I was like, no offense. You haven't been, you haven't lived in England like 70 years. You're like, doesn't matter. I grew up there. He still drinks tea with milk. So when he asked me how I drink tea, no sugar, no milk. He said, I'm not human. Right? So I said, okay, I'm not human, but I still enjoy it that way. Regardless, right? You make a blessing, right? The Jew makes the blessing. You sanctify the physical. So I'm sanctifying hot water, in tea leaves. That's what I'm sanctifying. Yeah. Or if I had an apple, right? I wouldn't eat an apple in front of everyone here. Might lose respect. Right? So I take an apple, make a break where I ate. Right? Grows from a tree. So what's brought down? It says that once a person makes a blessing over fruits, Jew makes a blessing over fruits, gives spiritual influence to all fruit trees in the world, all fruit-bearing trees. Gives a special blessing when you make the bracha. When you make the blessing. If a Jew doesn't make a blessing, eats something, doesn't make a blessing, he's a thief. Why is he considered a thief? Some people have an issue with this because you're taking something that doesn't belong to you. You're not giving thanks to the Creator who gave it to you. So that being said, the Christians look at everything as bad. Now, we're not looking at everything as bad. We understand there's a physical world. But we also understand I got to sanctify the physical world. I have to use it properly. When I don't use it properly, I'm not saying the person needs to kick back and chill and whatever, right? But I'm saying if a person, has money and they have this, I read an article recently, a woman who was a compulsive shopper. It caused a lot of problems between her and her husband. Tens of thousands of dollars of clothing she didn't need. But she felt she had to show a certain image. And then eventually, she sort of got it, she got it under control and she understood what it was and, how it was consuming. That's vanity. That's, how many pairs of shoes can you wear? Now, okay, there are women who have, a bunch of pairs of shoes that matches this dress, matches that. Okay, that's not vanity. When you have 50 pair of shoes, that's vanity. How many pairs of shoes do you need? How many dresses do you need? See, for a guy, it's easy. He wears a suit, right? An outdoor Orthodox Jew wears a suit. Black with or without pinstripes, dark blue with or without pinstripes, gray without pinstripes. That's it. And white shirts. Very easy. Right? It's very easy to go shopping. So you need a whole bunch of white shirts. One gets dirty, another one gets dirty, whatever. You can't walk out with a dirty shirt. You have to have enough, enough shirts. If a person had 150 shirts, or designer shirts or whatever, that's kind of a problem. Why do you need designer shirts for? Say, some people are into it in style. It's a problem. I'm going to tell you it's a problem, even in yeshivas today. There are guys that have, a number of ties, whatever. They want to feel good about themselves. They have different ties, different occasions, different this. It could be. It's considered too much. It's considered a bit much. Yeah. Vanity is something where you're buying something you don't need. Right? Money could be, spent better. Doesn't mean, again, if it's a choice of buying bread or giving money to charity, buy bread, right? You got to live. You got to take care of your needs. That's for sure. But, if you're wasting it, on things that have no practical value, that's vanity, right? So is everything vanity? No. We can take things and sanctify them. If a person has money, right? I'll give you an example. I don't know who this philanthropist is, but anytime Chaim had to go anywhere, right? He gave him a van. He basically gave him a van for someone to drive. Wherever he had to go, he sort of went, he went in style, so to speak. Now he used that money for good. So Chaim Kanievsky, bless the memory, passed away. So the person who donated that van, who did he give it to? Gave it to my Rebbe, or Moshe Sternbuch, should be well. Anywhere he goes in this, he's taken in this van. So you have to know, person has money, you have to know how to use it, right? That's good usage. You have to worry about get into a car, not get into a car. This, that, he's got his own thing, right? He's got someone who's going to take him, right? He's gonna take care of it. He's definitely going to, take care of somebody. So that's very good. That's using money where it should be used, and to helping others. If it's a question of your life or someone else's life, obviously your life comes first. Can't give charity, right? If a person doesn't have, there are things that enhances a person's life, a person's allowed to have. It's not necessarily vanity, right? Give an example. Yeah, a person wants, let's say gets a blender, right? And they make fruit shakes, helps them more energy, whatever. Is that vanity? That's not vanity. Why is it not vanity? Because you're using it for your benefit. Things I'm using for my benefit are good, right? They could be considered, it could be considered something you don't need. If a person looks around their house, let's say, guarantee there are probably things you see that you never use, right? That you never use. Now, that's not necessarily vanity. It just means you don't use it, right? But to buy things that you don't really need only for the sake of, maybe looking good or whatever, could have that status. It depends what it's used for, right? It depends. People can use, for some people maybe it's considered vanity, for other people not, right? But again, I'm speaking about people on a very, very high spiritual level who felt they didn't need very much at all, right? In other words, they felt even living in rickety furniture and all that, no big deal. For them, was no big deal. For the family, wasn't even self-sacrifice. That's what they did. That's what they did. Now, some may resent it. Some say, I wish we had nicer stuff, and maybe they might get jealous of, of other kids and what they have. But if they're educated right, they're not missing anything. It's just, we live in this cream puff generation where we feel we need this, we need that, right? So one of my rabbis once told me that, he never had money, still doesn't have money, right? Still doesn't have, a lot of money. But he said when his kids were growing up, he made sure they had what they needed. Even, might not have got it exactly the time they needed it, per se. But eventually he got what he felt they needed, right? So, in this generation, King Solomon says, Hanoch Hunar al pi darko, says in Proverbs, right? You have to educate your kid al pi darko, according to his way. Darko means his way. It does not say al pi darki. It does not say according to my way. It says his way, right? So for some kids need things that other kids don't necessarily need. Right, I'll give an example. I had an older daughter. I still have an older daughter. She should be well. That, she needed, 7th, 8th grade. She needed to be running around. They had the one night a week. They rented there was a gym that was rented for girls, whatever, girls to play, all kinds of different things, right? In a proper environment. And that was something she needed. Yeah. So, we let her do it. We found the money for her, let her do it because that was important, right? It was important that, she get that. I have a son now taking, somewhat martial arts a little bit, it's good, gets out, runs around, whatever, but, learns about self-defense, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's positive. Something he needs. So you have to see what a person needs. If they're being spoiled and they're always said, yeah, you can have this, you can have that. They never work for it, they never appreciate it. Yeah, so a person can give someone and ruin them. Can also totally ruin them. Someone asks, very good. Is there a fine line? Is there a medium between vanity and making things holy? Again, if it's not vanity, then you can use it. You're sanctifying it. You're using it for the right thing, right? If it's vanity, that's not making it holy, right? It's not. It's like someone who's conceited cannot be humble, In other words, if they're conceited, they're trying to show how humble they are. They're not humble, right? The two don't mix. Buying things I don't need, or I don't, whatever it is, at their level can be considered vanity. 100% can be considered vanity. For someone else, maybe not. Depends it depends what it's being used for. If it's being used for in a positive way, it's not necessarily vanity. Right? Vanity means I'm using it just, it's extra. What's the let's see what the true definition is over here. Excessive pride or admiration of a person's own appearance or achievements. That's one definition, right? That's one definition, right? Another one, inflated pride in yourself or appearance. In other words, you're doing something that inflates your pride. That makes you think you're greater. You think you're great, using it to show that you're great, right? So a person, I'll give an example. Person got a ton of money. Let's say they buy beachfront property. Why? Because they can. They go there, I don't know, a couple times a year, more, whatever it is. Why do they have it? What's the main reason that they have it? Show it up. If you tell me, listen, they got people coming there, people are using it, people are staying there, general hospitality, okay, right? You can use it for good things. You can definitely use it for good things. But if you're using it just to show off, that's vanity, right? So if you're building something, or you have a fancy car, that's vanity. So I would tell you, anyone who has money can use it any way you want. I would say, though, I would be very careful where it goes, because you do not, as we said, 99% of the people die because they've caused jealousy, this evil eye. They've caused jealousy upon someone else because of what they have, right? Let's say because of what they have, yeah, and they're flamboyant, they show it off, right? So it's one thing, it's one thing they have an average car like everybody else. It's another thing they got something fancy, much fancier. Double the price, triple the price. Why? They have the money. Why shouldn't they have it? That can cause enmity among people. It can cause jealousy. You do not want to cause jealousy among others. You don't want that. That will kill you. That's where it's excessive. But what happens if a person, let's say, they're making an extension on their house, A, because they have money, but B, the main reason is they need space. But someone gets jealous because they can't build, or they don't have the space, or they don't have the money. Right now, is that your fault? Not necessarily your fault, but guess what? At that point, when someone's jealous, their jealousy, this is what happens, this is how it works. Their jealousy goes up to heaven. Now, obviously, Mr. S, the evil inclination, whatever you want to call him, he brings it up to God and says, hey, look over here, Beryl's building this, building this extension over here. And look, Shmerel or Ruvain, it's going ballistic because he doesn't have money, or he can't build, or whatever. It's making him feel bad. So what does God do? Okay, let's see if Beryl's right. Let's see what's really behind what Beryl does. If he's doing it for the sake of what? For the sake of heaven. He needs the space. He's not building, not putting, fancy, chandeliers and, redoing his bathroom or whatever. I like this idea of redoing bathrooms. Anyway, busy redoing his bathroom, whatever the case is, making it fancy, not a problem. He's not going to have a negative, it's not going to be negative over here. Not going to get judged in a negative way. Problem is, if it's a little bit extravagant and you put something fancy in there, you probably shouldn't have. Even if it looks good, you can get judged severely. Why? Because he's causing another person pain. But you're going to say he's got a right to build. You're right. He's got a right to build. Does he have a right to make it extravagant? So let's think. He puts in a $50,000 chandelier, $40,000 chandelier, whatever it is. Yeah. You're going to put in a nice ceiling fan or who knows what, for $100, $200 maximum. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe something fancy at 300, 400, whatever it is. He spent 10,000, 20,000. Yeah. God looking down says no. That's not within your means. That's not what you should do. That's bragging rights. You could use that 15,000 to sponsor someone's tuition in a yeshiva. You could use that 15,000 to help somebody, a rabbinic scholar, to help a school, a yeshiva. Who knows? There are so many Jewish causes out there, not a shortage. Help pay for someone's operation. Get help with that. A lot of things. Give to orphans. Million things. You wasted it on a chandelier? And now you're causing someone pain? That's a problem. That's a problem, right? So I would say, does the person have a right to add on to the house because they need space? Yes. Can they make it look nice? Yes. Should they make it too nice? No. You don't want to cause other people to be jealous. In any, let's say a person is just jealous of your family, great spouse, great kids, look at this and that. The person doesn't have to worry about that. No, you don't necessarily have to worry. You have to be careful though. You have to be careful. An evil eye could kill you. I mean, 99% the Gemara says could kill you, right? That's a high percentage. That's almost 100%. That means people aren't necessarily careful what they do and the pain they cause. That's why before Yom Kippur, you have to come to somebody who wronged and ask them for forgiveness. That forgiveness could cause, that fact that a person does it can cause a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Let's say, I'll give an example. Let's say somebody's dating someone and either they weren't engaged, but they felt they got jilted. The other side felt they got jilted. And then this other person gets married. This other person got married for a long time, right? Etc. Or let's say better, the person that got jilted now feels bad about what this person did. Let's say, I don't know, got jilted for the wrong reason, whatever the case is. Now they feel bad. So now let's say this person gets married. This person finds someone else. They get married. They don't have kids. They don't have kids. Now, could there be a direct cause from the person that they hurt their feelings and they never asked forgiveness to the fact they don't have kids? Yes. Happened a number of times. Many, many times. That people look for reasons. It could be person's infertile, they can't have kids or whatever. Right? But there have been many, many, many cases where someone asks for forgiveness and the next year they have a child. It's not a coincidence. You're going to say, someone's going to say, oh, science hasn't proven it. Yeah, that's not true. I mean, maybe it is true. Science hasn't proven it. It doesn't mean it's not a connection, right? It doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean there's no connection, right? Doesn't mean that at all. Right? What it means is that a person feels bad for what someone else did. Because they feel bad with what somebody did, it causes them pain. That pain goes straight up to heaven. God hears that pain and takes it out on the person that caused it. Now, it can be taken out on the person in different ways. In a number of different ways. One way it can be taken out on this person is that they don't have kids. That's one way. And it's happened many times. Like someone will come, to a rabbi and say, listen, this been many years, haven't had kids. And one of the first things they'll say is, did you ever, make someone feel so bad you were dating someone, you never asked forgiveness, something. And a lot of times that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Now, again, does science prove it? Science doesn't have to prove it. Yeah, these things direct results. Direct results every single time. When the person asked for forgiveness and they apologized and the person gave them forgiveness, shortly thereafter they had a child. Every single time. That's not a coincidence. Doesn't matter what science says or not. That's not a coincidence. Again, this is a big topic here. You're allowed to enjoy life. That's true. You're 100%, you're allowed to enjoy life. But again, you do not want to go too far where you cause other people to be jealous. So there are families that, every year they go here, they go there on vacation. They're on vacation. I'm not saying they can't go on vacation. Right? But, I'll tell you, living in an Orthodox community, there's a big difference between the ones who have and the ones who don't, and the ones who struggle. It can cause jealousy. It's not, you say no matter what I do to cause jealousy. Not true. I'm not saying a person can't necessarily go on vacation. But you gotta be smart. You definitely have to be smart. But let's say if a person has more money than a lot of people, in the neighborhood, and you don't help as much as you should, financially or other things, they could cause you serious problems that nobody wants. Right? Nobody wants. Better to be on the other end, right? On the other end of that than that. Someone asked, how much food do I have to leave on a plate at the end of a meal? You don't have to leave everything. You can leave a small amount, right? One of the things about just showing, even if you're starving, and you're ravenous, leave a little bit over the plate, just to show. Just to show I'm leaving a little bit. Doesn't have to be a significant amount, right? I wouldn't say crumbs. I'd leave a little bit. What's a little bit? I don't know, right? Person's eating, chicken, potatoes, string beans. So, leave a little bit of chicken or a little bit of string beans. Leave something. Leave something. You didn't finish everything. Is it considered wasting food if I throw it away? No. If you leave a little bit over, that's not wasting food. I will tell you, we waste a lot of food. We waste a lot of food in general. And that we have to be careful of. We eat a lot more than we do. You see a lot of people overweight. People don't exercise. I mean, I have a bad habit of observing how much food people take. It comes to a kiddush or other. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Not only that, how quickly they eat it. I'm not going to go into detail. Won't get gross here, right? I'm talking about, religious people. I'm talking about non-religious people. You go to a kiddush, you think like people haven't eaten in days. People like been on a desert island, haven't seen food in like weeks. It's unbelievable. So the issue is, you should leave something over. You definitely, you should leave something over. But we waste a lot of food. We waste a lot of food. So you got to be careful with that. But in this case, that's not considered wasting food. If you leave a little bit left over, that's not wasting food. What do you have something more expensive, more luxurious? People, but you hide it from other people, only family can see it. Yeah. So, let's say person had money, they get married, so they buy their wife an expensive ring, right? An expensive ring. But anything else, that they're relatively modest. Should a woman wear it? I mean, if they see how they live their lives, they're not going to think it's, they're going to say, wow, it's very nice. I don't think it's going to see necessarily it's like so extravagant because the rest of their lives are not that way. Something very expensive, I'd be careful. I have somebody, it's funny, I got a watch, a Seiko, a nice gold Seiko watch that I inherited from my father. I didn't get the Rolex. My older brother got the Rolex. But I have a nice watch I wear on Shabbos. It's the only time I wear it. I wear it on Shabbos. I usually wear it on Shabbos. I don't even wear it to weddings, usually, unless it's one of my kids' weddings. But only I only wear it on Shabbos. I have somebody, it's funny, whatever. I'd call him a young kid, or like, I was like 24, 25, or a little bit older. No, it's actually older, about 27, 28. And like, every time I see him, and usually I only see him on Shabbos or on a festival, he's like, he always rolls up my sleeve, just wants to make sure it's still there. I'm like, yeah, it's still there. So people are not going to think I'm rich by any stretch. Just because I have that. I mean, it's a nice watch. I mean, I don't think it's worth $1,000. It's probably worth a lot less than that, but whatever. It's a nice watch I wear on Shabbos. So yeah, I didn't buy it. I got it as I got it as an inheritance. Rather, my father be in this world, but okay. So, is that being extravagant? I'm not hiding from people. I'm not, I don't think it's something to hide, because, if I had a Rolex, that would be a question. That would be a question. Should I wear it in public? And if I would tell people it's fake. And I would hope, people would know the difference, right? Most people probably don't know the difference, right? So hopefully I'd be safe. I say, no, it just looks nice. It's fake. I bought it for $20, whatever. But, if that ever got exposed, then yeah, I'd be in trouble. But, like someone asked me, if you would have got the Rolex, would you wear it? Good question. It's a good question. I live in one of the poorest, fastest growing, Orthodox communities, in Israel, where I don't know where people get money from. Everyone's like building on their houses and whatever, I guess, whatever, using, second mortgages or third mortgages or who knows what. So, they can rent part of it out or whatever, but like everyone seems to be building. It's a very poor, relatively poor community, in general. Would I walk around with the Rolex on Shabbos or Yom Tov? No, probably not. I mean, I shouldn't say probably, I wouldn't, right? This is not a Rolex. I mean, it's a Seiko, anyone, takes a licking, keeps on ticking, right? Anyone remember the commercial? Yeah. So whatever, it's a nice watch. I only had a problem with it once, just to get a new battery, but otherwise, very nice. Would I call that extravagant? I don't think it's extravagant. Definitely don't think it's extravagant. Like someone asked me the other day, I was going somewhere and said, no, whatever, I'm taking the bus, I'm going here. About going up north. They said, oh, don't you have a car? I said, yeah, but I'm not, I'm not going to drive. It's like 3 hours. I'll take 3.5 hours, probably fall asleep at the wheel. I don't think too many people are going to be jealous. It's, it's 2005. It's a big collector's item soon. But wherever comes in handy. Comes in handy. Is that a fancy thing? A lot of people have cars. It's not like, it's not like about a top of the line thing, even other people probably have and they rent or whatever. Whatever it is, even though it's, relatively poor community, you think, gas is like $8 a gallon. It's like crazy how much it is. It's like 7.5 shekels a liter. So 7 shekels, like $1. It's about $1. It's about $1. No, it's more than that. It's like $2 a liter, right? It's like $2 a liter. So there's 4 liters in a gallon, right? For all you Americans, 4 liters in a gallon. So you got, 4 times 2 is 8. It's about 8.5. Dollars a gallon, which means that's kind of expensive, extremely expensive for gas. And my car only eats gas, doesn't get good mileage. But at the end of the day, you don't see a shortage of people on the roads. Just the opposite. And this is where all the gas comes from. It's kind of funny to think about it. Asceticism is not a virtue. Yeah, we're not here to suffer. That is a non-Jewish thing. It's a Christian idea. I should make my body suffer. I should run around in the snow till like I get frostbite or something, so I can feel like what it means to be an ascetic. No, that is forbidden. That 100% is forbidden. That's not how you show being righteous. Showing how you be righteous is sanctifying the physical. That's how you show being righteous. By sanctifying, not abusing it, right? I take food. I don't become a glutton. I don't become an alcoholic. You make a blessing. You sanctify it. Right? Conjugal rights, marital relations, you sanctify it, being used in the right way. You separate when you can't be together. That's being used in the right way. Right? But the Christians say it's all bad. It's all evil. This, okay, that's what they think, but we can sanctify it. It's a huge thing, major difference in outlook in the world. Someone asked, Vanity. What makes someone who's very deep in material world? Yeah. You are giving credit to the material world for no reason. You think you're God's gift to the world because I can wear a suit and a bow tie, can wear a tuxedo and a bow tie, right? I can show off, I can show off fancy jewelry. I can show off fancy car, whatever. In order to boost my what? My ego. In order to boost it. That's what vanity is. And what this is going to do, if you don't use it for the right reason, you'll think you're better than everyone else. You'll think you're a cut and above, right? Person's got a house on the beach. Beautiful, beautiful penthouse, right on the beach. Beautiful. But what's it there for? Show off. That's what it's there for. You tell me it's there to have parties and fundraisers and different things and good things. Good. I don't know, I think it's extravagant, but I don't, if you use it in the right way, it can be done right. It can be done right. I think in that case it's going to be hard because, it's so expensive, but it can be used in the right way. Otherwise, what's the purpose of it? The purpose is showing how much money you have. The purpose is showing how much extravagance you have. And the purpose is, this person has a fancy car. So goes hand in hand. And what does this person have? A big ego. Huge ego. Yeah. So that what you think this person's close to God? He ain't close to God. I don't care what's in his heart. He ain't close to God. Yeah. Certainly not on the outside. Not on the outside. Yeah. So is that going to distance you from God? 100%. That's exactly what it's going to do. You're going to show it. What do I need God for? I got all this money. Right? Famous person, so famous, I forget who it was. Said he had so much money, he'll never die with it. And guess what? He went to make a deposit, was in the vault. Friday afternoon, they forgot about him, locked him in the vault. Didn't come back till Monday. Guess what? Died of starvation. Can't eat. How you gonna eat money? Can't eat money. No cell phone. I think it's before. I don't know if it's before cell phones or not. Right? Even had a cell phone, it would have had reception. So how's it gonna help? Right? You got to be very careful what you say. Further than I'll never die with my money. Yeah, what would happen? Guy's got worth millions, billions. Yeah, died in the vault. Died in a vault. The Gemara says, "Al tiftach peh l'satan." Do not open your mouth to Mr. S. Because then Mr. S says, "Oh, you're not going to die. You're not going to die with your money." Goes up to God and says, "God, can we take care of this guy?" God says, "Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Lock him in the vault." What happened? Can have all the money in the world. Can help you get out of a vault. Yeah. Someone here mentions that bathroom renovated frugal. There's some people at boats. In the bathroom in the boats made out of what? How much money they have made out of gold. Well, guess what? We're going to keep this clean. When your mind hits when you sit down, and you're out in the, in nature, it's cold. Yeah. What's the difference? You're doing, it's kind of silly to think about it, right? You're doing what you're doing. Won't get gross here. And you're sitting on a gold, you're sitting on a gold toilet. Well, doesn't make any sense at all, but okay. So I want to show how much money they have. So they have a gold toilet. Well, guess what? We all know what it's used for. I mean, it's kind of funny. Think about it. Wow, so beautiful. I feel like I shouldn't even go to the bathroom in it. It's gold. Come on. $50,000, $100,000 for a toilet. You gotta be kidding. You know what you're doing in that toilet? We all know. Tony mentioned sometimes I don't eat almost the whole day until Shabbos when I overeat at the table. Okay, you can eat. Shabbos, big time to eat. Right? But yeah, a good Musar idea. Someone brought down, you leave a little bit extra, a little bit over the table. So a little bit left over, so you don't finish everything. Yeah. Can I marry a Hindu? Oh, got this question before. There's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem. If you get married in a secular way, then I would say no, not a problem. Right? That's if it's done in a secular way. if you get married in a way where, and I think this is how it works, because someone asked me this question before, that there's a service that's done if you're a Hindu, makes it idolatry. A non-Jew cannot be part of idolatry, right? So therefore, you got a problem. Therefore, you got a problem. The ceremony itself would be a problem. Being married to an idolater, and this question comes up a lot also. Let's say someone comes out and they were Hindu, they were Christian, whatever. We hold Christianity is idolatry, right? So let's say a person comes out of Christianity or wherever, and they're married to a Christian, practicing Christian, right? Let's say they're married to a practicing Christian. Is that a problem? Is that a problem? That's not your issue. That person's an idolater. You're not an idolater. Okay. Where's the problem going to come? Problem's going to come when you have kids. That's where the problem's going to come. That, if the kids are going to be idolaters. The kids are going to be idolaters. Yeah, there's going to be friction. Does a person have to divorce if they're married to an idolater? No. There will be conflict, guaranteed. There will be conflict, but you don't have to divorce. You don't have to divorce. So if you're telling me you're gonna, a person marry a Hindu, the ceremony is going to be a problem, and raising kids will be an issue. But technically, if there wasn't a problem with idolatry at the ceremony, you get married. Right? Someone says marry to Jewish people. No, that's wrong. Why? Because a non-Jew can't marry a Jew. So I'd say better. A Jew cannot marry a non-Jew. Unless that non-Jew converts. If they're already married, it's one thing. Non-Jews, doesn't have to convert, but the Jew is forbidden to be with that non-Jew every time they're intimate. It's a Torah prohibition, right? Definitely at least a Torah prohibition, right? So, a non-Jew doesn't have the issue. A non-Jew can technically marry a Jew. It's not their fault. A Jew marrying a non-Jew, that's a problem. That is a problem. So you can't give someone advice to marry a non-Jew. That's putting a stumbling block in front of a Jew. A Jew can never marry a non-Jew. And if they do, that non-Jew should convert. If that non-Jew doesn't convert, they're over a Torah prohibition every single time they're intimate. Yeah, that's bad advice. Right? If a person converts, one thing. Okay, so let them marry a Jew. Very good. Right? They won't be able to marry a Kohen, but they can marry a Jew. Fine. Right? That's not an issue. But for a non-Jew to marry a Jew in general, let's say better. A Jew to marry a non-Jew in general, no. That we don't allow. That's not an answer. That's putting a stumbling block over here. That's a problem. That's a definite problem. But again, for the non-Jew, it's not an issue. They don't transgress anything. It's the Jew that's got the problem. Right? Which someone told me, hey, my wife's not convertible. You can't convert her. I was like, it's not my problem to convert her. She doesn't have any problems there. I said, you have the problem marrying to a non-Jew. They didn't like that. I was like, that's your problem, not mine. That's not hers. She has no issue. I didn't tell the person either, it wasn't going to matter. But every time that person is intimate with his wife, it's over Torah prohibition. Yeah. Any other questions? But if a non-Jew knows that's forbidden to marry Jews, then he's responsible to avoid that. He should. There's a problem. I don't really want to get into it. I don't really have time now anyway. But there's an issue whether, maybe I'll speak about this on Thursday. There's an issue whether a non-Jew is considered putting a stumbling. Is there an issue putting a stumbling block in front of someone else for a non-Jew? Right? We'll leave that, but there's an issue with that. There is an issue with that. Right? Or some would say it's not an issue. Right? There's no question over here. But if there would be, no issue with it, you're right. Right? If there'd be no issue, not a problem. Per se, it's a problem for the Jew. But if we say a non-Jew has a transgression of putting a stumbling block in front of someone, and they're liable 100%. Then 100% that would be true. All right, I got to stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday. Good to be back. Do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Torah portion of the week, on Q&As, ethics of our fathers, controversial issues. If you want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, which I'm a good